Going live. Hey, everybody, it's The Naked Truth. I'm Elizabeth, and we're here tonight with Less of Sarah. And I know we mentioned a few weeks ago that we were kind of changing up the format a little bit and having co-hosts come on. So our co-host tonight is James Haney. James, you want to kind of catch everybody up on who you are?
Hello,
Or
I'm
not?
Jim. Yeah.
Jim,
Oh, I can
James.
go. I can talk now. Okay.
Yeah, you can talk.
All right. I'm Jim. I had my vertical sleeve gastrectomy, or the sleeve as is sometimes called, more than 6 years ago now. I am maintaining a weight loss of 325 pounds. Originally, I lost 350, but I've had some recent regain the past couple of years. I'm working to get that off though, so hopefully. But
Awesome.
doing good. Love it.
Awesome. So when Jennifer asked me to co-host The Naked Truth, of course, the first person that I wanted to hear from, because she's been a little missing in action lately, was Less of Sarah. So I know, I can't imagine, because she's sort of a big deal, that you don't know who she is already. But just to clarify, she is Gooch Monster's hetero life partner. And before you kind of introduce yourself, one of the things that I did beforehand was ask people to say kind of how you impacted their journey. And I just want to read a couple of those to kind of set the stage for who you are and the role you've played in this community. And I know for me it's been really important because there are not a lot of high BMI people out there making videos. So, and I was one of those people. And so particularly now, going back and watching your videos, now that I'm not like in that newbie stage of enlightenment where I think I know everything, it's very helpful to me. But I'm just going to read a couple. I'm going to read three. So Lauren Dayton, I know we want to start with that one, right?
Oh, my God.
Sarah is the person who made me decide to start making my own videos. She was always so insightful and informative, and I loved to hear her point of view. I felt like I didn't have enough to contribute, but she was always so encouraging of others sharing their journey. She has become one of my dear friends, and I love that whore mouth of hers. I will always share a glory hole and a gallon of sangria with her forever and always.
Yeah.
Oh, how sweet.
Yes, Lauren. And I'm going to just read one more, and then I'm going to send you all of these so you have them and you know what an impact you've had.
I'll be crying, and then
you will be, because they're really pretty amazing. So this is from Patty, because, you know, she's my weight loss surgery BFF, so I have to read hers. Sarah, what can I say? Do you know how many lives you have touched and positively impacted? For me personally, Sarah, when I was at my breaking point, I found your videos. What a blessing. You helped turn my fears into courage and the impossible into hope for what my future could be. Okay, this is going to make me cry.
I'm like,
You showed me through your videos that taking time to really process my feelings would be such a growing experience and result in compounding great things that I never dreamed possible.
Aww.
You are a light, Sarah. You are a light. Take that in. An angel of hope, and I will be forever grateful for the impact you have made on my life and the life of so many others. Thank you is not enough. May you be as mutually blessed as you have blessed all of us.
Oh.
So I think that's a lovely intro.
Yes.
Yes, it is. I don't
And
know.
it runs the gamut from glory hole to being the light. How sweet.
Exactly. And that sums you up, doesn't it? Right?
Kind of me in a nutshell, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. So do you want to give just a really quick summary of your journey for people who may not know where you were when you started, when you had surgery, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So my highest weight that I know of anyway was 460 pounds. And that was right sort of when I started my journey. I lost about 40 pounds pre-surgery, so my surgery weight was 420. I had November 30th, 2012 in Mexicali, Mexico, with Dr. Aceves, who unfortunately in the interim passed away. But they still have amazing doctors who are doing great work there, and I'm a big supporter of surgery in Mexico. Obviously, I could do a whole show on that topic. However, what I will say is if it's something that you're considering, just like anything else, there are good surgeons, there are bad surgeons, there are great facilities, there are not so great facilities. So do your research, but don't let the idea of surgery in Mexico deter you if it's something that you're interested in. So. But yeah, so after I had surgery, my goal weight, I guess, was 210 pounds, and I did at one point go slightly below that, but that was about where I stopped. And I know we talked about this before the show started. I've had probably about 30 pounds of regain. The last 10 was like very recently, actually. And I could talk about this more, but I will say the first 10 I was totally fine with because they were literally like immediate bounce back weight. The next 10 I was okay with too. The last 10, not so much. So now I'm kind of at an interesting point in my journey, something new where I have to kind of figure out how I'm going to go back to basics and tackle that and whatever. So that's something new too. So yeah, but so I overall lost like 250 pounds, let's say, at my smallest.
Oh, that's all. 250 pounds.
Just
325, 250. I feel like a lightweight. I'm like a pound away from 200. But, so before we get into the questions in general, James is going to do our community celebrations.
Yay!
Okay. So community celebrations for this week are I have notes. I wrote notes like in school. The real Share Bear got engaged last week.
Yes,
That's awesome.
Congratulations, Sherry. That's awesome.
Congratulations, yes. And she will also be going to OH, so we'll be able to hang out because I am also going with my wife,
Awesome.
who's also a sleever.
Right.
Suzanne Curl Brace or Bracey lost 100 pounds since surgery, so congratulations. That's great.
Love it.
And it didn't say how long it's been since her surgery, so I'm not going to give that information. Let's see. Walter B. Sleeved said he can now see his feet. And
which husband of yours is Sarah? I forgot. Sarah, is he like your third husband or something?
Maybe
Oh,
third.
Walter was. You know, it's very complicated, Liz. It's difficult for me to talk about. You know,
I can understand now with Erica and everything. That must be hard for you.
List, but you know, I had to let him go. I had to let him move on to greener pastures.
He's not as available as he was before.
That's right.
He's kind of off the table. So anyway, so Walter says he can see his feet now, and I'm going to throw in there, but more importantly, he can see his penis. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. And he is now down 275 pounds, so that's awesome, Walter. Trisha O'Neill, Trisha Pretty O'Neill, as she is known, is down 100 pounds since her surgery, which is awesome. Congratulations. Amazing. BSG Gretchen has reached her goal weight. I don't know what it is, but
in like it was 160. So it was 165, and she did it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome.
I need one like that.
Yeah.
And there are some, I think these are newer people because I don't recognize these names. Mayor's W Weight Loss Journey and Carrie Berry have recently had their surgery. I don't know what type of surgery they had. There is a Julia Van Herk, who is also known as RNY London UK, hit her 2 years out. And she recently got a tattoo as her reward. I saw that posted on YouTube. Spring Bishop is 84 weeks post Hennessy, as she used to call it, post ESG, and she lost her 10 pounds of regain that she has had, and she has sort of switched things up with her diet and her drinking in particular, so that is helping. So way to go.
I can't believe that far from surgery already. I remember having coffee with her and VSG Bobby in New York City. Right after Bobby had surgery and before that Spring actually had surgery, so that's unbelievable.
Wow.
4 weeks out. Wow.
And so the last one I have is Randy VSG Granny hit Wonderland, which is awesome. So congratulations.
Woo. Awesome. Okay, so you know what everybody wants to know, Sarah. Where the fuck have you been? What's been going on?
Well, I was in Tahiti, and then no, I wasn't. People do this thing where they go, "I'm just busy living my life," and I hate that.
Blah blah blah. Me too.
YouTube was part of my life too, and it still is. I think my life just got kind of complicated for a number of reasons, and I've had a hard time just adjusting to my new kind of reality in a lot of ways. And for a while there, I kind of felt like I didn't really have much to talk about. And now I kind of feel like maybe I still do. I think, you know, and I know people will say, well, sure you do, and we still want to hear from you, but like I don't want people to be like, oh, that was a seriously disappointing video. I shouldn't talk about it anymore.
Well, I just have to tell you from my perspective, because you know it's all about me, is that now I go back and watch your videos of where, like, so if I'm at week, I don't know what week I'm at, like 70 or whatever, I go back and watch your video at week 70. It's like, yes, exactly. So I really need you as I get further along to keep doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think also too, for someone like myself who is further out, I don't make videos. I never have. But I think that your audience now has changed, you know. So whereas before it was all the newbies and the people just starting surgery, everybody watched your videos, right? And now it's like, okay, they don't necessarily, the people that are from your class or even the class after have now graduated and they are 2 years out, 3 years out. So if they are struggling with something similar to what you're struggling with, which I think a lot of people are, myself included, you know, so I think that's, then, you know, what you're talking about then changes for a different audience. So it still has its place and its importance, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know that people always think like, oh, so-and-so must have disappeared because they gained all their weight back or whatever. Like, no, again, I said to you guys before, just talking about regain, like, I honestly am not one of those people who has any shame about regain. I think it's a totally normal thing. It happens to lots of people who lose weight, you know, in the everyday sense, whatever you want to, I don't say the normal sense, but the non-surgical way, people who lose weight through surgery, whatever. It's your body's natural reaction to want to gain some of that weight back. And, you know, when I say, like, I regained 30 pounds, a lot of people will be like, oh my God, 30 pounds. But I also lost 250 pounds. So I try and keep that in perspective as well, that my regain related to my loss is still not huge. And also, you know, I happen to be tall, I have a big frame, so no one would look at me and go, oh God, look, she gained 30 pounds again. But I know that I did, and I'm at the point now where I'm not happy about it. But that first 20 pounds, like, I was okay with that. I really was. I didn't, as I have gotten further out, I've learned that being happy and being satisfied with my life is not about what the scale says. And it's not just about with the size of my body or any of that. My goal when I started this process and this journey was just to feel like a normal person. It was to not be what I used to call a circus freak show fat, to not get stared at in public, to not, you know, that was my goal. It was never to be, you know, a size 6 or never to be skinny or whatever. It was just to be normal. And now I feel like my weight struggles are the weight struggles of a normal person. So I'm okay with that. It's a lot better than where I was.
Yeah. Very true, and that's why, you know, like I tell people, because, you know, because I'm more than 6 years out now, so I tell people the same thing. It's like, it's almost like what the surgery has done for me has really helped me to sort of be like a quote unquote a normal person when it comes to weight gain. I mean, if a normal person starts to eat too many calories, if a normal person gains 10 pounds during the holidays, which a lot of us do, then they are going to have to work hard. They're going to have to start that New Year's diet, that New Year's go to the gym type crap, you know. And I think that's what it really has done for me anyway. Is I feel like I am a normal sort of functioning as far as my metabolism and things like that, and portion size, because before my portion size was way out of control, was not normal, it was abnormal. And so that's really what's done for me, I think. And so because I've been sitting on my ass for 2.5 years because of my foot problems and stuff, I've had 25 pounds regained. Hello, that's what a normal person would do, you know?
Yeah, I feel that way too. I feel like it just gave me the chance to kind of press restart and go back to before I became super morbidly obese and deal with my weight problem like a regular person would, instead of like someone who has, you know, Mount Everest to climb.
Right.
Yeah. I still have a mountain to climb, but it's a lot smaller and more manageable than it was before.
Right. Exactly. And not only that, you know, the difference is like you've recognized now, like whereas before I think like a lot of people, like especially people like us that were super morbidly obese, you know, at some point you don't give a fuck. You're like, shit, I'm 500 pounds, I'm 400 pounds. What's an extra pizza?
One more Big Mac,
What's an extra? Exactly. You know, you don't care. Whereas now you see that your scary regain weight, whatever you want to call that, and you're like, whoa, put on the brakes. What's going on here? What do I need to do? I do not want to return to 400 plus pounds. You know.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I just want to. So this is the first time I'm doing this. Facebook and YouTube comments are like going crazy. And I'm trying to keep up with paying attention and doing this, but apparently people are having a problem commenting on YouTube, so sorry, don't know how to fix that. Do it on Facebook, and I'll try to I will try to figure that out as we're going. But we obviously have a lot of people watching. I'm just going to ask a real quick YouTube question because we're talking about regain, and then let James go into kind of the start of the questions. But Mawiza asked if you feel like the regain was due to kind of getting comfortable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one to blame but me. Like, I would say the first 10 pounds, because I got to goal strictly because I wasn't eating. Like, my reaction to stress is not to eat.
And I just recently rewatched those videos of yours where you were saying that.
A difficult time in my life. I was really stressed, and that's the only reason I got to goal, which still is upsetting to me in a way because that's not the way I want it to happen. But that 10 pounds that I regained right away, I completely expected that. Because, yeah, if you're not eating and you suddenly actually start eating again, weight's going to come back. That was fine. After that, it really just became like, you know, I'm happy. You have that thing that you go through. You know, you feel like, well, I deserve it. I lost 250 freaking pounds. I deserve to eat this donut if I feel like it. The problem is, you know, I deserve to eat this donut once a month turns into I deserve to eat this donut once a week.
Every day.
I also deserve to have this and whatever. And so it's completely my own fault, and I would not, I won't hide that. Like, it's not like, oh, I have no idea where this weight came from. But I did, like, all of a sudden gain, like, 10 pounds practically like, in a month, which was weird. Right. So I don't really know why exactly that happened in that way, but...
Well, and your whole life has changed over the last couple of years. I mean, you went from... you went from working at home to not working at home. You went from being married to having a new boyfriend. You went... every single thing about your life has
hetero
changed.
Life partner.
Hetero life partner, sorry.
I heard the word boyfriend. I feel like I sound like a teenager when I say that. My boyfriend and I, blah, blah. So, yeah. I can't... If someone has a good suggestion on what you call your significant other that is not boyfriend... I also think boyfriend has a very large, like, range of commitment there. You know, like, boyfriend can be like, I'm kind of dating.
Well, he moved from the U.S. to Canada. I mean, that's pretty committed.
Together, and, you know, so. I don't know how I feel about hetero life partner, but whatever.
Homo life partner?
Yeah. That too, why not? Sarah Waffle is my homo life partner, let's be honest.
And I totally get that after hanging out with her for a weekend. Her lips and her eyes are amazing.
I know.
So, let me just tell you guys...
Chris Waffle is no slouch himself, either.
He is not.
That's true. I agree.
He is not.
Couple.
So just want to let you guys know real quickly who's watching. Sister Scaleback, VSG Granny, Jennifer Bleacher... She's there on standby in case I totally screw this up. Beautiful Alicia, and a teeny tiny tummy for Christine.
Hi, Christine and Alicia.
Okay, so do we want to kind of launch in?
Okay, yeah. So I guess the first question I have is, what is your story as far as your weight goes? What is your, like? Were you always a fat person? Did you have struggled with your weight since childhood? Does it run in your family? Those type of things that people always want to know.
The answer to all of those things is yes. I pretty much came out like chunky. Like, I was 3 weeks early and I weighed 8'2", if that gives you any idea. I would say morbid obesity actually does run in my family. One part of my mom's family, on her mom's side, my great-grandmother was very, very obese. On both sides of my family, there aren't a lot of skinny people, let's put it that way. My mom's father's side of the family, actually, they are thinner. So in my mom's family, it's a little odd because her and her 2 brothers are both bigger and sort of stockier and whatever, and then her 4 sisters are all very small. So it's a weird kind of physical dynamic in the family. But I was big from the start, and I was always tall. When I was a kid, I was just like pleasantly plump to like fairly overweight. I would say I really didn't become like morbidly obese until I went to university. So I was probably 19. When I was a teenager, I had some issues with eating disorder and things like that. My weight went up and down, but I was probably around the weight that I am now. So maybe slightly less than I am now, but within like 40 pounds of that throughout high school. And then when I started living on my own, my freshman 15 was probably like 50. and then it literally escalated from there. I never lost weight again after high school, which is something that I think a lot of people say, I tried every diet and I tried everything. That wasn't me. Like, I never lost weight, and I never even tried, to be honest. I would love to say that I did. I tried one time, and mostly it was working out, and I was eating better or whatever, and I did lose some weight, but not a lot. Like, for the amount that I was working out and whatever, I might have lost like 15 pounds, which for the amount of weight I had to lose was just super discouraging. And I was like, you know what, forget that. I'm done.
Yeah.
So I wasn't that person who tried everything. I didn't try everything. But I also knew that at 460 pounds, there probably wasn't an option for me other than surgery.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to be the person that had the wherewithal and the mental strength to have done it on my own, as people say, without medical intervention. I'm not that person. I can totally admit that. I'm not that person. So. Sorry
I'm smiling, but like nobody sent in questions beforehand, but like Facebook is friggin' blowing up right now. So, I'm just curious, did your family try to control your weight growing up? Was that an issue? And how did they do that?
It was, my family situation was a little different, I think. My dad is talking about this before. My mom is Dutch, my dad's Italian, and we lived with my Italian grandparents. And Italians, obviously, Europeans in general, but Italian specifically, the culture is really all about food. And my grandmother was very, like, the traditional Italian grandmother. No, you need to eat, you need to eat. But at the same time, she would say, oh, you're getting chubby or whatever. When I was older, she would say, well, no boys are going to want you if you're fat. But at the same time, she would be trying to stuff my face full of food. So I got a lot of mixed messages. But I also remember that there was never, I think I talked about this in a video a long time ago, there was never a point in my life where I felt like I was normal or I was okay. From my very first memory of how I felt about my body, I felt like there was something wrong with me. And I don't blame my family for that. They, did the best they could and whatever. But I just, from the first moment I had memories of how I felt about myself, it was always that something was wrong with me because I was too big, too tall, whatever.
Did you get teased a lot in school, or?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think, I grew a thick skin because it happened from the time I was very young, because I was always overweight. So by the time, like, high school came around or whatever, I mean, I just didn't care anymore. I was like, whatever. Like,
right.
It didn't really actually affect me that much. I know a lot of people talk about being overweight in high school and how it was torturous for them and whatever. I had kind of gotten over it by that point. My eating issues in high school were actually more about other issues that were going on in my life and trying to control that than it was actually people's feedback about how I looked or about my weight or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I think people react different ways. Like I said, for a lot of men, guys in particular, I can speak for myself and many of the guys I know that were overweight all their lives. A lot of times they compensate by turning into the funny fat guy.
Right.
I still consider myself the funny fat guy, you know what I mean? So you learn how to deal with it in different ways,
Yeah, I think there's sort of two ways it can go, I find. And women and men, but I mean especially women, you can kind of become like the wallflower girl that doesn't really socialize or participate or whatever, or you become like the super outgoing funny girl because that's the same thing, you're overcompensating. And I think naturally I'm actually more of an introverted person, but I had to teach myself to be that, like, whatever, because that was my only way of getting attention, or at least attention, right? So, yeah, I think that was probably me too, and now that's just who I am. But that's really because it was always an issue for me.
Now, I think I remember you saying in videos that maybe during your high school or at some point you actually restricted eating as well, or had issues the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. Yeah.
As I said, that wasn't really actually about wanting to lose weight specifically. It was more of a control thing. Mm-hmm. But this is the thing. When you're fat, no one goes, oh my God, you're not eating. You must be anorexic. I mean, that's what it was. I was not eating.
My family was like, thank God you're not eating. You look so good.
Right. Exactly. And the problem is that you get positive feedback. So it's not like you're skinny and now suddenly you're not eating and people are going, oh no, you're getting too skinny. You're sick. Something's wrong with you. You're not eating and people are going, great, good for you. Look, you lost weight. So it went on for about probably 9 months. And then one of my friends sort of caught on and threatened me and said, if you don't stop doing this, then I'm totally going to out you to your parents and everyone. And so I did, and of course I then gained that weight back plus. But that was it wasn't about food, and it wasn't even about my appearance. It was really about just having something that I could control in my life, because a lot of
right, and it's not a lot with a lot of women. It's not that. I mean, if you see a lot of anorexic people, they're not overweight to begin with.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's funny that a lot of times eating issues really aren't about food, and I mean that goes for other people too.
I think most of the time.
Yeah, I don't feel like I have that relationship with food where I go to food for comfort or any of that, which I know a lot of people do have. But yeah, I mean, everyone does that to some degree. Lots of people abuse food in different ways.
Right.
But eating disorders, and particularly, I think, are almost never really about food. They're just about,
they're not.
Yeah, control or.
I mean, I could never have been anorexic just because I never would have starved myself.
Mm-hmm.
I consider myself bulimic, but I was just not very good at the purging part. So.
I actually took Ipecac once and was like excited.
It was like a failed bulimic because.
Yeah, there you go. I could say I was a failure as far as bulimia goes. I mean, I had the binge part down pat. I was awesome at it. But the purging part, not so much.
Yeah, good for me. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel too. I was like, I tried that. It didn't really work. I was good at one part, not the other.
So my other question, I guess I have here is sort of regarding the whole weight loss thing is what actually sort of made you decide? Was there like any one turning point that made you decide to actually get the surgery? What was that?
There wasn't really one thing. I know, sometimes people say I had this moment where this thing happened and
right.
I was like, oh my God, I can't. At 460, that stuff happens every day, and it just becomes a normal part of your life, and you just kind of sweep it under the rug. Like, maybe I should have realized the first time I had to buy an extra seat on a plane, or maybe I should have realized the first time I didn't fit in a chair, or
right.
all these things that happen, and you sort of disassociate from them. Like, in the moment, it's horrible, and it makes you feel terrible, but then you go, I'm just going to stuff that down here. And I just didn't really deal with it. I just learned, it became my everyday life. It was
like a lot of sort of small things that sort of led up to you making that decision, or was it one like, like I said, I have one kind of aha moment when I was.
Yeah, I had a moment. What I did have was a moment where I realized, oh my God, like this is what my life is now. Like when I go to a restaurant and they say, do you want a table or a booth? I have to stay at table. I have to speak up before the other people say they want a booth because
right.
Or whatever it is. I had a moment where I realized like this is what my life is now, and all these little things that I've grown accustomed to are not right.
Right.
I didn't have to live this way. And so it was a gradual thing. I had thought about surgery for a long time. I had thought about surgery 10 years prior to that before I even had children. I just never pulled the trigger. I had done the research and I thought, let me wait till after we have kids, or let me wait till whenever. And I kind of got to the point, especially with my kids, like I couldn't really do anything with them. And I thought, I can't be the mom I want to be. So in the end, it was a lot of little things, but really the realization was like, I don't like my life where it is now. It wasn't even that I was unhappy. It was just that from the outside in, I realized how fucked up my life was basically as a morning person. And I didn't want that anymore. I just decided I deserved more than that, basically.
Yeah. And what made you decide to go to Mexico? Was it just because the Canadian process took so long?
That was part of it. A big part of it was that I really wanted VSG, and things are a little bit different now that I know of. There's more VSGs done here in Ontario, but at the time, the only way you could have VSG was if your doctor felt that it was the best choice for you, and most doctors did not, because there was only one doctor maybe that actually did VSG.
And I'm curious. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So wanting VSG was really a big part of it, and part of the reason that I wanted VSG was because the idea of having gastric bypass scared me a little. My grandfather, right before I made the decision to have surgery, had passed away from stomach cancer, and all I could think of was, now I'm going to have this little like part of my stomach that's just hanging out there that can't be scoped and can't whatever, and what if I end up having cancer and die because, of this surgery? And it wasn't the biggest factor in choosing VSG, but it was a big one, and that's why I was very adamant about wanting VSG specifically. And lots of people tried to talk me out of it on message boards, and people that I talked to, everybody said, Sarah, VSG's not going to work for you. You have too much weight to lose. You need to have a DS. You need to have gastric bypass. And I thought,
I heard the same thing.
I was going to say, Jim, did you have VSG too? Because I heard the same thing as well.
Yeah, I had sleep. I had sleep before it was even popular. I mean, like I
Right,
said,
6 years ago.
over 6 years ago, and I started looking into it almost 8 years before I actually had the surgery.
Mm.
So of course you get on the message board, especially obesity, people say, "Oh, you're an idiot." If I'm like,
Yeah.
now I'm like, "Oh yeah, look at me now, bitches. Here's out. Hello." It's like not everybody needs the extra. I absolutely agree that DS is an excellent choice for some people, and I did not want to live with the additional things you need to
Right.
to be successful and to have the vitamin regimen and all these things you need to do. I know myself. I wouldn't have done that. I'm not good at taking my vitamins now. So
Exactly. There's a right surgery for everyone. And for me,
right,
it was SG. And I also thought to myself, you know what? If I need to have a revision to a DS later, so be it. If I don't lose enough weight, I'll have a revision. I had no
right,
problem with that. That was my plan. If VSG doesn't get me where I need to be or where I want to be, where I'm happy, I will have a revision. I had no problem doing that. And it so happened that wasn't necessary. But I thought, why am I going to go in like whole hog right away?
right,
I knew it would be more challenging, but I also thought that being more challenging was important for my long-term.
right.
I didn't want
I
it.
agree.
Not that gastric bypass is easy. Don't get me wrong, because I know it's not. But I wanted it to be more challenging. Let's put it that way.
But as a super morbidly obese person, I've gotten a lot of feedback about why did you have VSG? And really, I went in with the intention of RNY, but my surgeon was like, you have no health complications. There's no reason why you need RNY.
Like, as crazy as it is, at 460, there was nothing wrong with me. When I had my labs done in Mexico, the patient coordinator came in and she said, I wish my labs looked like this. She said, this is ridiculous. Like, there's really nothing wrong with you. But my doctor, who always pushed very gently for me to do something about my weight, said, Sarah, do you see a lot of 80-year-old 400-pound people walking around? I just want you to think about that.
No.
I want you to think about. And we all know the answer is no, right? He said, at the time I was 35, he said, you're 35. You're young. So maybe it's not affecting you now, but it will. There's no way that it won't. You're not going to be this miracle patient where being hundreds of pounds overweight, doesn't shorten your life.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
Or not only that, shorten what you're able to do as far as physically. I mean, at 400 pounds, at 50 years old, at 400 pounds, how many people do you see at 450 pounds walking around in public and enjoying life and going to Disneyland and walking around all day? They don't. You see them in the scooters at Disneyland.
And that was the way he worded that in his method of sort of encouraging me was very powerful. It was because I think at that point you start turning off when your doctor's like, well, you need to lose weight. Well, thanks.
Exactly.
I really don't know what to say because I know. The way that he approached it actually was really helpful to me and actually was encouraging because it wasn't like, well, you just need to lose weight.
Right.
Like, well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with you now. However, that will not always.
Right.
So.
I mean, I think we know the answer to this question, but how do you feel about the decision now to have weight loss surgery?
I would not make a decision. I would, even if I had to do it over again, I mean, I absolutely would. I would choose my surgeon again. I had a great experience. And, I always, obviously a lot of people want to talk to me about having weight loss surgery, and clearly I encourage people. I don't necessarily think it's the right thing for everyone, but I think that deep down, if you are the kind of person who can succeed with non-surgical measures, I think you're the kind of, everybody knows deep down whether it's going to work for them or not. There are people for whom surgery isn't the right option because they're not really ready for that either. And that's the thing. I mean, people think it's easy, and we all know that it really is not easy.
It is not easy.
And it's not over when you have surgery. It's not over when you get to goal. It's just starting.
No, exactly. The maintenance is the hard part.
Yeah.
This is way harder than I expected it was going to be. Tim, we're having so many questions for you. We need to have you on as a guest and not just a co-host. Just saying.
So I had a question. So as part of what we were just talking about, this sort of leads into that question. Has this experience been what you thought it would be? How different is it, or how weird, or how horrible, more horrible it was than you thought it would be, or how more awesome it is than you thought it would be?
I think it changed my life in ways that I didn't expect. I'll definitely say that. It changed me as a person in ways that I didn't expect.
Right.
Because I did a lot of research and I watched a lot of YouTube videos for the 18 months before I had surgery. I think I had a lot of the, what's going to happen physically and that sort of stuff pretty figured out. that
Mhm.
deeply surprised me. It was more the like emotional side of things and how I changed as a person that was a shocker to me. I don't know that I would necessarily say any of that was bad. I did certainly go through things that were very difficult. On the other side of that,
Right.
you know, I'm very positive now about where I'm at and happy with my life and all those things. Sometimes you have to go through stuff, like that's just life. I don't blame that on weight loss surgery.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think the biggest surprise to me was how it affected me. I thought I would not change at all as a person, but I did. But I think it changed in positive ways. I hope anyway.
We have lots of questions. And it's hard to manage it on your phone while I'm trying to pay attention to you. What do you think has been your biggest struggle post-op?
Honestly, it's probably my self-image. Well, my body specifically. So how I feel about my body now and how I felt about it going through the process. I think when you are super morbidly obese, especially, it's really easy to just disassociate yourself. Like you just don't look at yourself from the neck down and you just kind of don't pay attention to it. When you're forced to, because of changes, you have to buy new clothes or you have to do whatever, then I think it really messes with you. And I said this to Chris, and I know that it sounds screwed up. Like I know that it is not true, but I said the photo that I sent Jen, the before and after, that she posted on the Facebook page, that was like almost my lowest weight. So yes, I am bigger than that now. But when I look at those two photos, I identify more with the girl on the left, the 420-pound girl right before
Mhm.
surgery, than I do the other girl. I feel like I look more like that now than I do that other girl. And I know that doesn't make any sense, but I still feel that way, and that's almost 3 years out. I'll be 3 years out at the end of November, and I still feel that way.
It makes sense to all us ex-fatties, I think. I
Yeah.
mean, because, like I said, I think, for me anyway, like I said, like you, I've been morbidly obese my whole life. I was, 250 pounds in high school, and so I think I didn't have my surgery till I was in my early 40s. So to me, that's what I identify with as being 400, 500, 600 pounds. When I look in the mirror, that's what I saw for how many years, So that's much easier for me to sort of see and identify with than this person I see now that I've never seen in the mirror. I've never seen a guy that wears an extra large shirt as an adult anyway, When I was in 8th grade, yeah. I was a kid then, though, So it's very strange.
It's weird to be like the size you were, when you were 12 or whatever. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
And you were very confident as a fat woman, right? I mean, that's what I get from your videos.
I was, and I know, again, I think that is not necessarily the norm. I felt like I was more confident then because I knew what I was working with, if that makes sense. Like, I knew, like, this is me, and this is how it is, and I'm okay with this. There are times now that I look at my body and I think, I was a lot happier then because at least I was fat, but it was, like, plump and curvaceous.
It was full. It wasn't saggy.
Ew, like this is gross. So that's part of it too. But I mean, in some ways that doesn't make sense. And yet, no matter what, even 200 and whatever pounds down, I'm still a big proponent of being the idea that you can be happy at any size and you should be able to be confident at any size. And I didn't lose weight because I didn't think I was pretty or I didn't think I was attractive or I didn't think I was good enough. I lost weight because it was affecting my life in a way that I was no longer okay with.
Told you my statement.
What?
Told you my statement.
Oh, apparently Chris said amen, Jim. That's why he had to walk all the way over here to tell me that. About being the size that you were when you were 12 or whatever. But yeah, I was more confident then, honestly, than I am now, which is completely ass backwards, but it's true.
That's interesting.
I can see that. Yeah, I think that's normal for a lot of people, especially because, like I said, because you had been living in that body and in that situation for so long. You've learned to deal with that. You've learned to deal with your weight. You've learned to accept it. You've learned to deal with all that goes along with being obese or morbidly obese, right?
Well,
and now all of a sudden you're living in a body that you're not used to, that looks different, or maybe your expectations are different than you thought as far as what you would look like, and And you know, like anyone who's lost a lot of weight, we know that in clothes we look a certain way, but naked we do not look that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, when I was larger, you know, even at my highest, I learned through all that time, because it was a long time, how people reacted to me. I learned that people were going to have to get past how I looked. So
Right.
I accepted that from the beginning. I have to get past this person seeing me as this morbidly obese girl, and I have to get them to understand who I am. And that's the attractive part of me, and that's why they're going to like me and whatever. Now, I kind of don't know how people see me. So I realized, okay, well, now when someone sees me, they don't see morbidly obese girl. What do they see? How do they? So it's a really weird. I had a hard time with socializing for a while because I didn't understand how I fit in and how to interact with people, because I didn't automatically have to go in and be like, okay, I have to impress you and throw everything I have at you because clearly you just think I'm the fat girl, so now I have to prove that, like, no, I'm really awesome.
Right.
You know, I'm still kind of the fat girl, so I mean, they don't see me and go like, "Ooh, look at that supermodel girl." But I don't think there's a difference between just being overweight and being super morbidly obese, obviously, and how people
Right.
deal with you culturally and all those things. So that's been a challenge for sure, because I don't know how other people are reacting, and therefore I don't know how to act.
You know, my mom gave me some feedback yesterday that I thought was interesting. She said, you know, maybe you just need to tone it down a little bit, because you're still acting like you're compensating for everything, and you don't really have that much to compensate for now, so that might be a little overwhelming for people.
So now, yeah, like now I'm like obnoxious girl.
I think that was what she's trying to say in a nice way. This was an interesting question that was actually for all three of us, because we were all started this kind of super morbidly obese. I was just kind of adding up in my head, and between the three of us, we've lost almost 800 pounds.
Wow. That's pretty
which is kind of crazy. But how did you deal with comparing yourself to other people in the weight loss surgery community through your process?
That is a good question.
And that's from Ellie in Wonderland. So.
Do you want me to answer first?
Yeah, go ahead. You answer first.
I really tried not to be honest. And I think it was much harder for me because there were a lot less people that I could compare myself with. Because I'm tall. So even if I found someone who was like 400 plus, if they were 5'2", that's a completely different thing to my body type and whatever. So there were really only a couple people that I watched that were very similar to where I was at in starting weight and like height and build and all that sort of thing. And even then I really tried, if I caught myself like being like, okay, I'm in this week, let me go watch this week and see like how much she lost or whatever. Mm-hmm. I really tried to like cut that off because I knew that that was not going to be a positive thing. Like nothing is going to positive is going to come out of comparing yourself to someone else because you're not that person.
Who were those people that you watched? I'm just curious because I really didn't find, I mean, I'm not that tall, but I really didn't find very many people other than you and maybe Gastric Rose who were.
There was, and I'm trying to think, her YouTube name is now totally escaping me. Her name is Tamara. She's from the west coast of Canada, from Vancouver.
Okay.
What was her YouTube name? I can't believe I can't remember right now. But
well, if you remember, we'll post it for people because I just think it's
literally
important.
Was almost exactly. I think her starting weight was 420. Her surgery weight was slightly less, but she's also 5'10". And so, and then there was someone else too, and now I'm completely blanking on who it was. But if I will remember, and I will get on Facebook on my page, but I'll let you know. But yeah, there were at the time there were not a lot of people. Now I think there's maybe a few more people, which is great, and I think all the aspects of the community need to be represented, and this is why
absolutely when
I was making videos, and even now, I encouraged people who said, "Oh, but I'm a lightweight, I don't have anything to add." No, you do, because just because I don't, I have 300 pounds to lose or whatever it is, and you have 100 pounds to lose, doesn't mean that we don't have things in common. And especially, I was also very encouraging of guys. Now it's a lot different. When I started making videos, there were very, very few men that were making videos. So I always tried to encourage any of the guys that I saw starting to make videos to make more videos because I thought it was really important. Clearly, there are lots of men having weight loss surgery, so we needed to have a more diverse community. That was kind of my thing and what I tried to encourage people to do and what I still encourage people to do. Your story is important, no matter what it is. Whether you're a lightweight, whether you're, and I hate that term, but no matter how much weight you have to lose or where you are in the process, your story is important.
Yeah, for me, I think from a comparison aspect, I mean, I think because we weighed more to start with, I mean, I know I lost more weight than a lot of people did initially, and it went faster because I had so much more to lose. But the tough part for me was to be like, okay, I'm 18 months post-op, and I am just now to where I wouldn't qualify for weight loss surgery.
Right, yeah.
You know, and that's a little struggle when people are, you know, hitting their goal in like 5 minutes.
Things to goal in 5 or 6 months, and you're like,
yeah,
hey, I've got another.
Whatever.
Yeah, it took me at least 18 months, I think. And I lost weight fairly quickly too. It wasn't like so it does this.
I do compare myself to you now that I'm going back and watching those videos, and it's like, oh, look, 18 months, she hit her goal. I'm not there yet, but I'm like close to the same weight you were.
Right. So.
But I'm like way shorter, but whatever. What about you, Jim?
For me, it was very similar, I think. Honestly, as far as like, and also comparing with like what type of surgery, there wasn't a lot of people having a sleeve that were 400, 500 pounds out there, you know, and I was 600 pounds basically. So for me, I did, I actually befriended people locally at support groups that I knew were similar to my starting weight, and I basically picked their brain a lot of times to find out what did you do to get to where you are now, if they were successful, you know. So I found a couple. There wasn't too many people out there. Like I said, this is way before YouTube was like a big deal and a thing for weight loss community. It was mostly just online forums and local support groups is where I found support, and I still do. But for me, like you said, there wasn't a lot. And on let's say the biggest forum out there, there was a couple of them. One was Vertical Sleep Talk, and the other one was Obesity Help. Well, those two were. Like I said, I was one of the bigger guys out there that had the sleeve actually. So I found other people with different surgeries, and that's the thing is there's a lot of times there's like we talked about before there is a big separation of there's also a separating of a dividing of the different types of surgeries, not just lightweight to heavyweight, but it's also I've had lap band, I've had DS, I've had whatever, you know, and those forms are split up into those categories usually. But so in the VSG form, for instance, I didn't find a whole lot. I was probably one of the biggest guys out there. And so I didn't have a lot to compare with. So I honestly didn't compare myself to other people. But I also, like I said, I've talked about this before on one of the other shows I was on, Fat Kings or something about, I always felt like because locally I had lots of friends that had the surgery at the same time I did, like within a month. And it was hard because I liken it to them going on us all having a destination going on a trip, and then like them already being in Jamaica and partying and having a good time because they got to go in 7 to 9 months.
Yeah.
And some of them lost 150 pounds, and here I was like you guys had to wait 18 months, 22 months till I reached my ultimate goal, but 18 months to lose over 300 pounds, right? And so I was like, I felt like I was always just watching them on the sidelines, kind of like being a little bit envious of them, but I also had to think, okay, well. They had to lose 150 pounds. I had to lose twice that amount, easy, you know. So it's hard to sort of think about in your brain and sort of get that past, you know, where you think about that all the time. So that's the hard part is waiting the extra year or year and a half sometimes, you know. But I didn't do a whole lot of comparing myself to others. You know, I often tell people.
Till you hit your goal, like 22 months, did you say?
So yeah, 22 months. I was 350 pounds down by then. Like I said, I lost probably 310, something like that, within 18 months. So at 18 months, I kind of started, you know, becoming a little bit more lax and kind of going, oh, I kind of have this, you know, I'm already down. I've lost more than half my body weight, you know, I'm doing good. And so it took me, you know, another few months to lose the rest. But, you know, like I said, it's definitely a mind fuck because you're like, the people I go to group with are all skinny already. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at them and I'm going like, okay, I'm still a fatty over here. You know, what's the deal? People look at me and they're like, what, you're 18 months out? You're still 300 pounds? And they're looking at the guy that's 150 pounds and they're like, he's only 9 months out. You know, what's the deal?
Well, I always feel like if I tell someone, and it happens very rarely, not that I'm secretive about surgery, but just I don't really tell people unless it comes up because I think it's a weird thing to just like come out and be like, oh, by the way, surgery.
I tell everybody that. I need to stop. It is very weird.
If I tell someone I have weight loss surgery, that they look at me like, oh, like, did it not work? Like,
we went to, right before, when we went to WLSFA, Patty and Sherry and I went to Cheesecake Factory because, you know, that's where you go when you're a weight loss surgery patient next to the hotel. And it was just hysterical because the waitress comes up and we don't eat any of our food, right? And we're like laughing hysterically saying we're here for a weight loss surgery conference. And we're like, yeah, and she thinks we haven't had it yet.
Not only they're looking at you like, what are you guys eating? Why are you at the Cheesecake Factory if you have
Right.
surgery, you know?
Yeah, well, I definitely had that where, like, right after you have surgery, I was having lunch. I was having sushi with another weight loss surgery patient also who was, like, very overweight, and we still both were, like, at least 300 plus pounds. And the waitress just thought it was, like, super weird. We ordered, and she's like, is that all? Like, no, she's like, what's up with the fatties over there, like, sharing a roll? What's going on?
Yeah, they're like, she's like, look at, they're trying to pretend like they don't eat anything, and then they're going to go home and eat a whole cheesecake.
We just laughed about it because it's funny. Like, I would think that too. Like, I don't really, you know, I don't judge the judgers. I'm like, it's all right. I would probably think the same thing, you know, don't worry.
Yeah.
So we're like already just like have 10 minutes left, which is crazy. We haven't answered all of our questions. We haven't answered any of the questions. So before we go into the rest of the questions, I just want to ask you one thing. If I send you questions from people, will you consider making a video answering those questions that we got in?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Maybe we just, Jim, want to go into the business relationship stuff because I know that's stuff people are interested in.
Yeah. So the question is, like, how has this affected like your career, if it has at all, or any friendships, like as far as your weight loss, regarding your weight loss and the surgery?
So I worked for myself and I worked from home for 8 years, and 5 of those years, or 6 years before I had surgery. So I wasn't really in the workplace dealing with other people when I was like really super morbidly obese. Although I had clients that I met with face to face, so that was a thing, but it was a little bit different, and I didn't necessarily feel that people treated me differently exactly, but there's always this little something weird, especially because I worked in the wedding industry, and that's like all about appearance and all that sort of thing. And then I decided that I'd kind of had enough of what I was doing, and I wanted to change, and I decided to go back to work full time. And even just the process of interviewing was really strange for me because I realized when I walk in here, the first thing they're going to see is not, oh my God, look how like obese she is. That's not going to be the first thing. Like I don't have to immediately try and impress them so they get over that. That was really weird for me. It was really odd to be going on interviews and realizing like they're looking at my merits. They're not looking at my weight as a thing. But that was also kind of freeing because it's like, oh, okay, now you can really actually pay attention to what I have to offer instead of whether you can get over the fact that I'm morbidly obese. So, and I found a great job at a company that I really, really like, and the people are great. No one that I work with knows that I had surgery. Again, not because I'm not open, but just because it's never come up. But sometimes I wonder what it would be like, you know, if I worked there for 2 years and one day someone finds out I used to weigh 40, but, you know, I'm sure eventually one of them will find out because it's not like I try not to tell people. I just don't lead with that because it's kind of like if I say, you know, I've had my appendix out, I don't like go up to people and go, oh, did you know I had my appendix out?
Exactly. There's no reason to explain yourself in that area.
Yeah. So.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really happy with my job now, but Chris and I are actually starting a new business in the new year, so that's really exciting, and that is what fulfills me most. I mean, it's not that I didn't like or I don't like working for someone else, but that's not really my thing. You know, I like to be doing creative stuff. I like to be in control of my own thing, but I needed a break from that for a while. So I'm happy that I did that, and I will stay on with that company as long as I can. I'm on contract till March, and they have told me that they really, really want me to stay. So we'll see. You know, if our new business takes off, I may end up going back to working for myself full time. But I'm excited that my weight does not have to be a barrier anymore to what I do. It's scary to some degree.
It's crazy.
But it's great to know that that is not a thing anymore. And so that's really sort of freeing in the realm of like possibilities. Like now I kind of feel like, okay, I'm not going to probably be like a flight attendant, but you know, other than that, I'm not going to be a supermodel or a stripper, but you know.
You could be a stripper.
I could probably be a hooker, but I don't know.
So can you tell us what your business idea is, or you're keeping that?
Oh no, it's not. It's not a big secret. It's just that we haven't really started kind of like putting it out there, or just recently a little bit. So Chris works. He manages a vape shop, so a shop that sells high-end e-cigarettes, and we are actually starting a company selling premium e-liquids. I'm really excited about it. It's called Versus, so VS Versus e-juice, and my background's in marketing and graphic design, so we're going to clearly have awesome branding, and Chris is in charge of making an awesome product, and he's
Chris
doing a
is
great
walking
job.
over here right now.
Oh, look, he's going to show up just to talk.
Hi.
Hi.
Deb designed us an amazing logo and all that good stuff, and I just actually published a Facebook page today, and she's on it, so anybody on Facebook, there's nothing on there yet, just the logo, and coming soon.
So he just showed up.
Well, so invite us all to like it.
Yeah, we need Facebook likes.
Is this a brick and mortar enterprise, or are you guys doing online only?
It will be available in some retail shops, so it will start out just in. Okay, bye. It'll start out just in the two shops that are owned by the same company that Chris works for, and then we'll hopefully be expanding to other shops, and we will be selling ourselves online as well.
Okay,
so,
cool.
That's very cool.
And so we know you're starting this business with your hetero life partner.
My
Are
hetero.
you following the business model and the planning model of your homo life partner? Okay, I think you should.
I know. Well, she's clearly doing very well. So, well, I mean, it's funny. We both kind of have that in common, that we, have similar like backgrounds in sales and marketing and that sort of thing. So, I haven't talked to her about it actually. I would love to, but we just haven't had the chance. We're both super busy, and that's a terrible excuse. But it doesn't make me love her any less. It just means I don't get to spend as much time talking to her and connecting with her as I would like. That's sort of how I feel about everyone. Like, I still love everyone in this community just as much as I did before. I still miss everyone terribly. I still, I'm always trying to like figure out what events we can go to and how we can make it happen so that we can go to this or go to that and hang out with people. That's still really important to me. The friends that I've made in this community are not just, friends that I made because they were weight loss surgery patients. They're friends that I made because they're wonderful people, and I want them to be in my life forever. It's not like a transitory thing. I mean, there are certainly people who I might have talked to more at one point that I don't anymore or what have you, but the real friends that I've made, that's not about weight loss surgery. That's just about good people.
So, man, we didn't even get to half our questions. And I know people, the big relationship question people wanted to know about. So I'm going to ask one piece of that, and then before we got on air, I had asked Chris if he would do a show on January 17th, and maybe you guys can come on together and we can talk about that.
I would be okay with that.
Okay, but the one question is that somebody asked that I think is, are you guys ever going to do that couples channel that you started?
I would love to. Here's the thing. My hetero life partner also has a lot going on right now. It is a little bit more difficult to light a fire under him to get that done.
But there's so much smoke, you would think there would be fire.
You would. I would love to. I would still love to do that. I know that people still ask us about it. I really would like to do it. I can't promise that will happen. I mean, he's a little bit more reticent to make videos than I am at the moment, so we'll see.
Well, maybe you guys can promise to do a joint naked truth.
I would definitely be okay with that.
He was hedging on that, so maybe you can.
Yeah, he's waffling. Pardon the pun.
Oh.
I think Chris is probably a little bit too enamored with and sort of in love with the that Canadian delicacy, poontang. Is that what it's called? He said poontang all the time.
Yeah.
Poutine.
Right. So poutine, is that what it's called? Oh, okay. You know what I mean.
Of like eating
You
poutine.
are a dirty, dirty man, Haney.
Dirty boy. So
what?
Okay.
Isn't it like it's like potatoes? I mean, I guess in the weight loss surgery community, carbohydrates is kind of a dirty word. So potatoes, gravy and cheese curd,
He's back.
Here
I'll move over.
Okay, so I answered nobody's questions on Facebook or YouTube comments. This was my first time. I have to get this down. I'll send the questions to Sarah. Hopefully she can do a video to answer them. But we do this new little. Wait, where'd she go? Oh.
All I see is a big vape cloud.
Make her disappear.
Okay, so we do these new little questions at the end, just kind of like a fast thing. So I do want to do those before we get out. So
now you're leaving.
What?
Now you're leaving.
Wait, no, Chris, you can do it too.
Go.
No?
What?
Go.
Okay, what's your favorite word?
What's my favorite word?
Oh, I know this one. Oh wait.
Oh, I have a new favorite. I saw it on Facebook. It's spunk trumpet.
What does that mean?
Spunk trumpet is apparently UK slang for penis. Spunk trumpet.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, I was just in the UK. I didn't hear anything about that.
Well, yeah. That's my new favorite.
Maybe it was who I was hanging with. Okay. What's your least favorite word?
I don't like the onomatopoeic type words. Boyfriend is actually my
Yeah, right?
But after that, it's anything that like sounds like what it is, like squeak or pow or stuff like that. It creeps me out. I don't like it.
How do you feel about moist? That's been a...
I'm totally okay with the word.
You're good with moist.
In fact,
Okay.
there is a Canadian band from the 90s called Moist that I was a huge fan of, so I clearly don't have a problem with the word.
Okay. What turns you on?
Oh.
Other than Sarah Spoon.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was like, other than that, a really good conversation. That turns me on every level.
What turns you off?
Oh, someone who's, I won't dumb people, but ignorant people who like to talk about stuff they don't know anything about. I'm not down with that.
Do you ever? I never see that in videos, way less surgery videos. Do you?
Yeah, I know.
Never. What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck, clearly. I mean, you can use it for everything, so. And
What
I enjoy.
What sound or noise do you love?
The ocean. I love the sound of like the waves.
Oh, I'll have to send you a video. I took a video this morning down at the ocean.
Oh yeah, you need to send that to me because I.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, when you like when your fork or your knife like scrapes across your plate and it makes that like. I hate that.
We've heard that twice in just 4 weeks of starting this. That
You hate that onomatopoeia squeak.
Yeah,
There's another one for you.
It's clearly my problem.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I love design. I would love to do like interior design or floral design or something like that. But it is actually really different from graphic design. So that's something that I think I would kind of love to try someday.
What job would you not like to do?
I don't like things that are like I wouldn't want to do anything that involved like touching gross things.
That involved what?
Touching gross things.
Okay.
Like
And what profession might that be? Autopsy person?
Yeah, like gynecologist. I don't know. No.
So obviously she's not going to be a hooker like she said before. So.
Exactly. Clearly.
Okay. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Probably that there was an administrative error and I could just like be back on my way, to be honest. My grandfather, very story, my grandfather when I was a kid had surgery and died on the table, and he told me he had a near-death experience, and he spoke to God, and God told him it was not his time, that he needed to come back for me. I was like 6 or 7 years old. And
Aww.
Your time is not done. And so I don't know that I've ever 100% really believed that was a real thing, but I would love to hear that. I would love to hear like, nope, sorry, we made a mistake. You need to go back and finish what you were doing. So.
Aw, that's very sweet. Well, thank you so much for coming. It's been so great to hear from you again. I really miss you.
I miss you guys too. I miss everyone. I mean, I can't promise anything because I keep saying I'm going to start making videos again, and then I don't do it, and then I'm a terrible person. But
well, you promised 2 things. You're going to answer the questions in a video, and then you and Chris are going to come on and
I
camera.
might even do it tomorrow morning. I'm going out tonight. I'll probably be hungover. So if everyone's okay with that, then I might even try and tackle it tomorrow morning. We'll see.
Answers might be better then.
Yeah, it might be more truthful. I don't know. I'm usually pretty direct and blunt anyway, so.
Awesome.
Okay, so I need to say about next week's show. So next week there will not be a show, which I probably shouldn't have said next week's show because now people are going to be confused. There will not be a show next week due to Obesity Help Conference that I will be attending, my wife will be attending, and Elizabeth is going to be there, and lots of other people. So if you're not going, you should make time to show up and hang out with this awesome event we're all going to go to. And on 10/25, the guest will be Amy Gets a VSG with Lindsay Flygirl as the co-host.
Great. And if you guys haven't, we're trying to get enough subscribers to our YouTube page to actually take up some of the benefits at YouTube Space LA. So if you haven't already subscribed, subscribe, share it with your other friends, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks, guys.